if you don't have like any relationships or like a network or, trusted people who can lead you down the right direction, I wouldn't suggest anybody just coming out to LA or the Bay Area or Humboldt just dry, just looking for plugs, because there's sharks in the water, and those people, they know there's people like that, and they're ready to take advantage of you. So secretive.
What's this
Like,
Telegram? Like what? So they selling weed on
so
Telegram?
yeah, so essentially trap, like, all of these distros in LA, the Bay Area, Sacramento, Humboldt, they've transitioned to either, they have like a broker or something that sets up a Telegram channel to where they list and they showcase like all of their strains, and you could just send them money, which some of them are scams. You may send them money and then they block you, or if it is trusted, you know what I mean, you send them money and you could just they'll ship it to you in the mail, and you get it on your doorstep. So the barrier of entry is so low. Like, it doesn't take anything but a cell phone, and for you to download Telegram and to see an ad of a rapper, of Sauce Walker or something like that. Hey, yo, follow, hey, at the distro, so this, that, like, that's all you need nowadays. Like, you don't need to actually meet up with some type of local plug in your area and then consistently shop with you, and then over time, based off your volume, he just like, bro, we just gonna partner up and we gonna go to the plug, and then we gonna work together. And then back in the day, 5-10 years ago, it took some time. Like, now, everybody wants instant success. So all you need is a cell phone and a Telegram chat, and you can get bags to your door.
At the height of pound flipping for me, maximum profit I ever made off a boat was $1,000.
Recently, a podcast has been going viral where there's two gentlemen who clearly, know what they talking about when it comes to, the cannabis game. And some people feel like during these podcasts, they really giving away game and really kind of exposing the inner workings of, the Cali plug system.
Off of what type of investment into the P? Like, what'd you buy the P for?
It'll be different shit. Like, I might get some lows for $350.
You tell it for $13.50.
And when I watched it, I kind of liked what they was doing.
For those who maybe you just only been shipping packs through the mail, there's 3 different ways that you can get packs from one state to the other. You can fly them on a plane, a private jet. You can ship them through the mail, or you can do TP, which is transport. You put them on a truck.
I reached out to the owner of the podcast, and I was able to sit down and talk with him. And surprisingly, his story, it was pretty unexpected. A former D1 standout. He would go back after graduation to his home state of California, where in 2018, he would start one of the first licensed cannabis delivery companies. And he ran it up to over a 7-figure business within like 3 years, becoming one of the biggest plugs in Cali.
2018, that's when California started going recreational. Before, it was medicinal. So you had to have, like, a patient card to shop at dispensaries and things of that sort. But 2018, they changed it to where anybody that was over 21, you could shop at dispensaries and purchase marijuana. So it was legal within the state as long as you were 21 years of age. And you could have, up to an ounce, I believe. And, I think like 7-8 grams of concentrate. So that was a big stepping stone. And at that time, there was a program called the Social Equity Program. So me and one of my friends, we were able to qualify for this program, and it fast tracked us to get our delivery license. So initially, we wanted a dispensary, but it was extremely limited to get a dispensary. They only gave out a certain amount of licenses, but then we figured out the delivery license was unlimited. There were, the city of Oakland was giving out as many delivery licenses, as people that applied. So we hopped into that, and within 2 years, 2018 to 2020, we scaled that into a 7-figure operation. And then in 2020, that's when I started my YouTube, because as we scaled the business, I started trying to look for different types of information, different types of people who maybe were in the industry that could offer some game. And I just, there was really nobody out there. So that's when I just started to kind of document my journey. And as you can see, if you go on my YouTube, you know, I've been making content since 2020, just documenting my journey. And yeah, 2022, 2023, that's when I kind of transitioned out of the delivery service. And, just been focusing on just making content for my channel. And then that's how, in the past couple months, I had a video, go pretty viral on YouTube, and then that kind of transitioned to just creating content on Instagram, and then I just been going up from there. So I was always focused on sports. Like, I always thought I was gonna make it to the NFL. I always wanted to play Division 1 football. So I was never really like, I was so close minded on business in general and other things. Like all I was thinking about was sports, 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 sports. Like I didn't, even think that I would be an entrepreneur or I would be creating content or making YouTube videos. So if that makes
The way
sense.
you talk about it with your homie, I don't know what's your homie name, dude with the
Flocka. Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
way y'all talk about it, bro, you
Uh-huh.
don't really talk about it like a industry professional type. You talk about it like
Mhm.
y'all, you know what I'm saying, trappers. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
I rocked with it because I know right now the weed
Uh-huh.
game is legal. Like, how
Yeah.
do you feel on that debate? Like, say the independent trapper versus the dispensary.
I think it's two different markets because you're always going to have those people. You're always going to have that legacy market, the people that are going to cop from the guy on the street, and then you're going to have this newer, modern age, customer who feels more comfortable going to like a trusted, reputable source. Not saying that the black market isn't trusted or reputable, but I always say this: you don't know unless your product is tested from a third party source. You don't know where that product is from. You don't know who grew unless you know the grower. Even if
Right.
you do know the grower, like you don't know how it was grown. You don't know what chemicals were used, what pesticides, different growing techniques. So I believe it's two separate customer bases. And that's what I always tell people. When you're in this industry, you have to figure out what is your niche. Everybody is not your customer. Some people value things differently. Some people value professionalism. Some people value pricing. Some people value, quickness and like, that you're always on time and you have a speedy delivery. So essentially what we did was when we got our license, it was a little bit different from now because we were one of the first people in our area with a delivery license. So there's a little less competition. However, there was more, I guess there was a little more skepticism around, the business, around just people purchasing weed from like an actual licensed retailer. So it's like a double-edged sword. So we were really heavy on this marketing platform called Weed Maps. Is a publicly traded company, but essentially what Weed Maps is that you pay Weed Maps for advertising space on their website because they already have like a lot of traffic and a lot of you know like they have an audience that visits their website. So
Right.
depending on what city you're based in, they'll allow you to advertise in that specific city. So say if you're in Oakland, California, you log on to Weed Maps, then Weed Maps is going to show you all the different retailers that are within your city.
Like Uber for weed or something.
It's kind of essentially like a Uber Eats for weed. However, Weed Maps is just an advertising platform, so they're showing you all the different businesses. It's more like a Yelp, I would say, a Yelp.
Right. I see what you're saying. I
So
see what you're saying.
yeah, so we were really heavy on that. So that allowed us to scale the business, but the issue with that was that there's only a set amount of people that are going on to Weed Maps. So if you're only a lot of retail and a lot of retailers were living and dying by Weed Maps. So if you're only focusing on Weed Maps and you're not focusing on any other types of marketing strategies, then you're just gonna run yourself dry because again, if they have 1 million people logging on to Weed Maps, you know, every day or every week, usually that's gonna be around the average amount of website visits that they get. So you're only gonna be able to that's kind of like the
That's
max
your
amount of
biggest,
people.
yeah,
That's the
that's your
max
biggest
amount of
thing right
people.
there.
It's not like Google where there's hundreds of millions of people searching on Google for weed delivery services or dispensaries. So that's kind of like where it's trended to now in 2025. People on organic search on when you type in restaurants near me and then you see all the Google business
Right.
listings, people in the industry are focusing more towards organic because it's cheaper, and you're more in control of that. There's a lot of games that Weed Maps plays because they know they have they had, a lot of people are getting off of Weed Maps, but they had a lot of leverage. So they'll go and try to spike the prices or
I
try
see
to
what you're
be like,
saying.
if you get a spot, they'll be like, oh, this person, outbid you for this spot. So unless you want to match them, we're gonna move you down. So it's a lot of games that they would play, but
So tell me the story, because it got to be something. I know in the game it always be a story.
mhm.
What was the story that was like, all right, I'm out, like I'm done?
I would say just bad business partners, like what I said, and I'm not gonna like put any names out there or anything, but the person that I started the delivery service with, over time, it was just I could see, a lot of side deals, a lot of because I own another business. I own a sports apparel business called We Ball Sports. So
Okay,
we sell football equipment and things of that sort. It's like an online retail store, like an online e-commerce type football apparel retailer.
that's
So
dope,
I
bro.
was more so focused kind of after 2020, I was more so focused on that business. And my business partner was he was because I live in Atlanta, so that's where all of our headquarters, that's where our warehouse is for Weeball Sports. So I was living out there, and my business partner at the time, he was supposed to be holding it down still in California.
Right,
That's kind of how we were managing everything. But I could see, through the bank account, it was just like people weren't getting paid. Just trying to overspend, hiring just random people. A lot of side deals. I would hear, I would hear like issues that he wouldn't tell me through somebody else. So it's like, why, if there's a problem within a business, why am I not and I'm a 50-50 business partner, why am I not the first person you're telling? Why am I hearing it through other employees or through
right.
other people? So that's the main story why I got out of the business. And I could just kind of see the writing on the wall that it wasn't going to succeed. So I just told him like, yo, you can have the business. I already made money. I did what I needed to do. I was able to kind of build a platform, and I just want to focus on Weeball Sports and what I'm doing on YouTube and educating people and just becoming more of an influencer within the industry.
Once people able to do the business around you, they gonna do the business around you, and then you gonna start noticing it's funny. So
Yeah,
it's
it
just
just
funny
be
that no
funny.
matter what.
Yeah, just little funny things, and you start picking up on stuff, and you just, you notice vendors not getting paid, and you just seeing these big wires come out the bank account. I'm asking them, what is this for? And there's not even like no explanation. So I'm just like, I'm cool. I don't want nothing to do with this. And then, about a year later, they went out of business and
I was gonna
stuff
say
like
you ain't
that.
want none of
So
that bread out the
no,
accounts.
I already made, I was already, in the business for about 4 years. So, I already made the money I needed to make from that business. And at that time, it was just doing really bad. So it made more sense for me to just separate myself from the business rather than trying to hold on to something that I already knew the inevitable. And then there could have been like a bunch of lawsuits and things like
Right,
that,
right.
that came,
What was the
yeah.
police like out there? Like while y'all was getting y'all money?
I mean, as long as you have a license, there's, you're I mean, you're not doing anything illegal. It's a state licensed operation. So as long as you have all your documentations, all of it is up to date. I mean, you're just like any other regular business.
So it wasn't like random pop ups to the warehouse or like just no weird vibes from the police.
No, if anything, the police don't help you if there's like robberies and things. Like we were told, the city of Oakland told cannabis, or was told that, basically told, or I heard from a source that cannabis businesses were like the last priority of any other businesses, if, or any other things, if, say there's like a robbery or somebody got shot,
Right.
like they're coming to a cannabis business last.
Wow, that's
So
crazy.
if anything, we had the least resources from the police compared to anybody else. But as long as you had all your documentation, your licensing was up to date, and you were all compliant, I mean, you're just like a regular business.
Okay, now
Like we
that's
had to
dope.
pay
Actually,
taxes. Yeah, it's
I ain't
it's a
gonna lie.
real
Like Chicago,
yeah, it's a real
Chicago
business.
is
We had to pay taxes, and a lot of people don't understand these. The trappers, they don't. You have to pay taxes. There's forms called a 1120 form corp. A C corp tax form that you have to file every year.
right.
Or if you don't, then you have to pay back taxes, and you have to pay city taxes, state. It's a lot that goes
Shit
into it.
start
So
piling up. You
yeah,
don't do
it's
it
it's
right.
layers to this. So you got, people that's just selling their one little, two little bags, and then you try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Like trust me, there's a lot of things and a lot of layers that I haven't even talked about. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Or
I was
maybe
I, I was gonna say, man, I want to get into that, man, because
Mhm.
when I bumped into your channel, like hearing all this stuff about you and hearing your background, and I
Yeah.
did see one of the posts that said that it was like you ran like a 7-figure, but I actually rocked with the post. I ain't gonna lie, I rocked with the channel for like the trapper guides. I feel like y'all
Mhm.
is making trapper guides. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
because
like I had a few questions I was gonna run
yeah, for
past you
sure.
on the
For sure.
trapper gas side. You know what I'm saying? Just to
Yeah, yeah.
help out the youngsters, you know what I'm saying? Because like you said, it's a legal business. It's something that they could really get involved with, but
Yeah.
it's still pitfalls and
Because
different.
because at the end of the day, the goal is if you want to stay in this industry, the goal is to transition out of the black market and go legal.
You trying to go re-up, say with your delivery business. Things is going great right now. You jamming. You
Yeah.
damn near know your next flip is gonna go through anyway. Cause just how shit flowing. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
You gonna go with the good lows, or you gonna go with that expensive, but it's them highs, and you know that's the right move. But the lows is the number is looking so good. How you feel about that, especially like doing your delivery business? Because I'm sure it's a few times you could have jammed in some good lows and really ate.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, or you could get stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. What decision did you learn in the game, like the good lows or always go high, even if it's expensive?
Well, I would say first you have to understand who is your customer base. So you don't just buy product and you don't know who you're gonna sell it to. You don't just spend $10,000. And this is with anything. You wouldn't, if you had a clothing brand and you're just starting off, or not even if you're just starting off, if you're used to only selling 100 shirts, you wouldn't just go and put in an order for 10,000 shirts, correct? Because how are you
No.
going to sell it? So it's the same thing. You have to first understand, goes back, what's your niche? Who's your customer base? Once you identify that, then it goes to what makes most sense for your budget, for the amount of capital that you want to invest into that inventory, and then trying to calculate, okay, based off this investment, this is my projected upon return. So, me, you know, running a delivery service, it's a little different because we had, on the legal side, we had the ability to source from a variety of different vendors, distributions, brands. So we were able to tailor to multiple sets and types of customers because we could offer variety. So we could have, a little bit of, top shelf. We could have some of the mid-grade stuff. We could have the outdoor stuff for the people that, were on a budget. So that question, it's a little more difficult when you're just a trapper because most people only have one or two flavor, or they only have the capital to buy one bag or two bags, and both those bags may be the same flavor.
I'm saying,
But
so like if you only
yeah,
had the capital to buy one, knowing what you know, like what's your experience say you only got the capital to buy either or, which
mhm,
one do you think would, you know what I'm saying? Which one would
yeah.
you rely on?
I think And you talking about in 2025?
Yeah, I'm talking about 2025.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with the lows because in this day and time, most people don't have money. So it's it's a higher probability that you're not gonna have to invest all this money into the exotic and then say if it's not moving, you got to cut the number and then now you got way less profit than what you were expecting. Whether it's you get a good deal on the lows and for that same ticket that you was able to buy for that 1p of exotic, maybe you could get 3p's of the lows, and now you got a better, you just have more margin to
Right.
then build off of that. And then now next time when you re-up, you can get one exotic and then three lows or four lows. So I think in this day and time in 2025, knowing the climate, knowing how people are spending, people are more conscious of how they spend. I don't think you can't go wrong with the lows because that's as long as it is decent, it got a good nose, it got a good bud structure, it got a decent smell. It's and you have some type of marketing ability or some type of customer base, people are gonna buy it if they just
Say
want to
you
get
could get it
high.
off. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's you're gonna be able to get it off and still make your projected profit rather than if you buy that exotic and it's not moving like you think it is, then you have to slash the number, you might break even.
Okay.
So
All right,
it's
real
more
quick,
risk.
real
I think
quick.
it's more risk with the exotic. Yeah.
Okay, real quick. So you brought up the Telegram shit. I don't really know about that shit. Like I said, I did this shit 15 years ago. I ain't
Uh-huh.
been in the game since. You know when I got out the game? I got out the game when the light depths came. So that was like 2016, 2017. When
Yeah.
that remember when that big wave of light depth came?
Yeah.
I got killed, bro. Like
Why?
I got killed because I ain't know. So I
Mm.
gave my people the same amount of bread for some bullshit that I got stuck with, and I just lost a lot of bread and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Damn. I'll say something that happened a lot. So, and this actually happened. This didn't happen to me. It happened to one of my drivers who was my cousin at the time. Um, so he went to go serve a customer. And how our delivery was set up was that because cannabis is still federally illegal, so we can't use banks. So essentially most of the transactions are cash. We would have like this little terminal, but most people would still pay in cash. So that goes all to say when we would do these deliveries, we would go and we're just based off we again we would have to verify the customer and we have different processes for that, but we're not paid until like we'll go all the way out to a delivery maybe 30 minutes out, and we're not paid until we actually do the transaction. So it's not like Uber Eats where Uber Eats already has the customer's money and then they're going to do the delivery. And worst case scenario, say if they were to get I don't know, like robbed or whatever, I mean it would be stupid to rob them because you already paid them the money.
Right.
So this situation, it was, I believe it was like a new customer, and my cousin or the driver at the time, he went to go serve the person, and from what he told me was that he I think he gave him the product, and then the dude was kind of like fussling around with the money or something, and then he said the dude just went and took off. And then my cousin, he's a pretty big dude. He's like 6'2", 6'3", like 250. He was like chasing him down the street, and he said they was running for like a quarter mile. Like he was just chasing the dude. And eventually, I think he said the dude tripped or something, and then he said he just started beating him up. It took the product back. So it would be like just goofy stuff like that. Like customers would like snatch the bag out of and it didn't happen a lot. But again, mind you, we were in we didn't do a lot of deliveries, and did deliveries throughout Northern California, more so the Bay Area. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how familiar you are with northern the Bay Area, but you have like Dublin, San Ramon. That's more so like where the white people live, more east. And then towards we didn't deliver in San Francisco, but we deliver like Hayward, where I'm from, which is south of Oakland. It's a little bit nicer than Oakland, and then you have some other cities that, but It would just be like weird, random stuff like that. Like people try to like steal product from the drivers, or we'll have drivers who would try to steal from us. It was things like that happen, but it wasn't anything where like guns were drawn on people or anything like that. But yeah, it was a lot of things, little things like that would happen. And that was, one of the times where I just, it just came to mind when you said it.
He had to chase Buddy
He
down.
had to chase dude down, and then from him chasing him down, he just started beating him up because he was mad that
It was like reflex. Like, how dare you make me chase you?
Bro had ran, yeah. So he just had it, and he said it was like a little white kid. So that that was the thing. Like, we would have customers like old grandmas, like little white kids, professional white dudes who, worked in tech, because remember, we're in, the Bay
In
Area.
the Bay.
So so it's like professional white dudes who, people who look like you would never think they smoke. So it's like running a legal cannabis operation, you notice the spectrum or the range of different customers. It wasn't just black people. A lot of times, a lot of, trappers and things, most of your customers probably black people.
Right.
But running it legally, you notice like how big and vast the cannabis industry is. Like, there's a range of people that use this plant and use cannabis. You know what I mean? It's just not black people. And when I noticed that opened my mind up to all the different types of possibilities, because this industry is so vast that there's other things that you can do that don't involve just selling to the end customer. You have distribution, which is B2B. So you're selling to the dispensary. You're a business that sells to dispensaries, and then the dispensary sell to the customer. You have cultivation, you have, which is, everybody should know that you're growing the plants. You have
Right.
manufacturing, which is, oils and extracts and balms and edibles. You have softwares. Like, so in order to make sure that, we're keeping track of our inventory, we're compliant, it's keeping track of our finances. We have it's called a point of sale software to keep track of all of that. So there's a lot of things that you can do within this industry that don't just revolve around owning a dispensary or just selling to the end customer. And that's the misconception that a lot of people that step into this industry, they think that that's the only thing that you can do. There's companies that just package product. That's all they do. They just go and package product for dispensaries, so that when dispensaries get the product, it's all packaged and then it's ready to go.
Right.
So,
It's like how looking in the entertainment industry is more jobs than just the performer
the actor
or the rapper
or the rapper.
the actor. Yeah.
Correct. But people always want to be the rapper.
Right. Not realizing you got the manager, the producer, the promoter,
exactly. And those people
the A&R.
Those people can make even more money than the rapper. Sometimes they do.
Yep. They have a longer career, because now you don't got to be popular. You just part of the machine. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, I try to teach people that it's more to the cannabis industry than actually selling to the end customer.
Did you ever start getting like noticed for what you was doing out there? Like, maybe like street dudes or just like niggas with money. I don't know, like if you was in the clubs or what, but like, was people like noticing you as like a plug out there?
No, because like what I said, I think one of the first questions you asked, like, the black market and the legal market is two separate. It's almost like it's the same industry, but it's just totally separate. Like, but that's the thing. I can relate to the black market because, allegedly, I've dibbled and dabbled in the black market before.
Right.
I went. I'm not saying I was the biggest trapper, but I did some things in the black market that allowed me to have some type of base level knowledge to transition into the legal market. Some of my friends who were still like kind of in the streets, because they would tell me like, man, I just saw you when you start. Like, the day we started, like probably the first couple of days, bro, we probably had like one order. You know what I mean? So people see, I have some friends who see me when we first started, when we were getting like one order a day, to where we scaled it into, on 420, there's a video on my YouTube where we did 500 orders on 420. And this was, I believe, in like 2022, 2023.
That's crazy. Did you ever think of like starting your own brand? Like you was talking about like cookies, runts, all of these. Did you ever think of like Shout out my people in New York, the Biscotti boys. You know what I'm saying? Did you ever think about doing something like that with your own branding?
Yeah, I think that's more so what I'm gonna do as I build my platform. Start figuring out how I'm gonna build my personal brand, and then I can parlay that into building my own brand because, like I always say, that's where everything's headed. Like you had that question about people branding product and stuff like that. That's you can see that's where the industry's headed. That's where all the value is. That's where you can charge a premium for your product because if you don't have a brand, you just have weed. Weed is just a commodity.
Right.
Anybody can get weed. But when you have a brand that separates you from the pack, like why is Louis Vuitton, why is Nike, why is Adidas, why is Under Armour different than any of those products that they sell that are similar to something that you can get tights on Alibaba, Amazon,
Right.
that are similar quality to Nike, but Nike's is probably going to be 2-3 times more because they have a brand that they
Now
can
facts.
charge that extra amount because it makes people feel a certain way. It makes people it allows people to identify with them. You know, it allows them to support something that they believe in. Just do it. So that's where the industry's headed. For those people who are trying to figure out how to get into the game, I would figure out how you can build your own brand, and that is something that I'm doing. That's something that I want to do. Start my own brand because with the tools that I have, the expertise that I have, I think I can build something that could be worth, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars if I build the right team and do everything correctly.
Right, said you already did it once. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Now you just gotta put your face on it. That's what they say. You got to
exactly.
put your face on it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So hey, I want to talk about Murder Mountain.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of documentaries about Murder Mountain and
Hmm.
the
I
most
had a
dangerous
video that
place.
went viral. Yeah.
Yeah, the most dangerous place in California and all that shit. And then a few weeks ago, the boy Rollo, man, we ain't gonna get into Rollo, but he talked about going up the Murder Mountain and
Correct.
it's no running water and motherfuckers is using generators and shit like that.
Hmm.
When you was in business, when you were running your business, did you do any business up there in Murder Mountain?
I've never been to Murder Mountain. I've only been to Humboldt like one time, and this was in college. I wasn't even in the cannabis industry, but no, I've never been to Murder Mountain. I've heard stories, things like
Yeah,
that,
like in
but
your area, what's the real story on Murder Mountain?
that's just it's the epicenter of cannabis. At one point, over 30%, 20 to 30% of cannabis, was cultivated in within the whole world came from Murder Mountain, came from Humboldt County. Over 30% of cannabis in the world came from that one county. So people have to understand, when you go up there, this is what people live for. This is what people eat, sleep, and breathe. Like these folks aren't playing any games. These folks aren't, it's not a joke. This is passed down generation from generation. These growing techniques, strains, genetics, so it's not a joke because like how you said, you watch these documentaries and there's been people that went missing, and so I wouldn't suggest nobody just dry, looking for a plug, things like that. Just go up there because you will for sure get taken advantage of if you don't know what you're doing. Either you can get robbed, you're gonna get set up, worst case scenario, you may get killed and never found again. So that's kind of like the mystique behind Humboldt County. Um, you
What
know,
would be your suggestion? Like I said, hypothetically, a young trapper, what would be your suggestion? He trying to come to Cali and meet a plug.
just with the technology today, I don't think that's necessary. I wouldn't just come to Cali with everything in life is about relationships in your network. So, if you don't have like any relationships or like a network or, trusted people who can lead you down the right direction, I wouldn't suggest anybody just coming out to LA or the Bay Area or Humboldt, just dry, just looking for plugs because there's sharks in the water and those people they know there's people like that, and they're ready to take advantage of you. So with technology today, just buy something off Telegram or buy something off of the local plug.
So
That's
what's this Telegram shit, bro? Because I swear I don't be wanting, like I said, I don't be wanting to give away
mhm.
certain shit if it's working or whatever. But is
Oh,
there
it's
some?
not. Yeah, it's not nothing secretive.
What's this
Like
Telegram? Like what? So they selling weed on
so,
Telegram?
yeah. So essentially, trap like all of these distros in LA, the Bay Area, Sacramento, Humboldt, they've transitioned to either they have like a broker or something that sets up a Telegram channel to where they list and they showcase like all of their strains, and you could just send them money, which some of them are scams. You may send them money and then they block you, or if it is trusted, what I mean? You send them money and you could just they'll ship it to you in the mail, and you get it on your doorstep. So that's why, like I said, the barrier of entry is so low. Like it doesn't take anything but a cell phone, and for you to download Telegram and to see an ad of a rapper of Sauce Walker or something like that. Hey yo, follow hey at the distro. So this step, like that's all you need nowadays. Like you don't need to actually meet up with some type of local plug in your area and then consistently shop with you. And then over time, based off your volume, he just like, bro, we just gonna partner up and we gonna go to the plug and then we gonna work together. And then back in the day, 5-10 years ago, it took some time. Like now, everybody wants instant success. So all you need is a cell phone and a Telegram chat, and you can get bags to your door. But the con to that is that there's a lot of scams going around. So you send these folks your money, you may not get nothing back, or you get something back that you did not pay for.
You get the
You know,
Woo
you
Pack.
yeah, you get some booth. You know what I mean? And then they try to play, oh, I didn't know, so and there's these people, they're just taking advantage of people, because people are lazy and people want to cut corners. So when you cut corners, those is the results that you get. They've relaxed on that a little bit, but back in the medicinal days, a lot of the medicinal dispensaries before 2018, the feds would come in and do raids and things like that. So that was a risk factor that would happen for dispensaries that were legal in during that medical time. But the feds kind of chilled on that because just the stigma around cannabis has kind of been more widely extended. It's kind of slowed down, and cannabis has just been kind of more widely accepted now.
Like you said, the audience base, the customer base is so many people that they
All
that
different types of people.
so
Yeah.
they don't consider them people criminals. So then you gotta kind of
Yeah. So then it's like
decriminalize it.
you can, yeah, but before when they try to plaster it on black people, like, oh, black people are messing up the community, selling all this weed and things of that sort. Then they wanted to do all these raids. But now when you have your Fortune 500 tech CEO smoking weed, there's no issue with it. You know what I mean?
So do you got any advice? Because we know the youngins, man, they not always gonna listen. So what advice do you got for, say, a young trapper? He not listening to nothing about going to school. He not listening, but he trying to get in his weed game. What would be some sound advice for a young trapper just getting in the game?
Yeah, you got. I mean, I said it before. You got to understand that it's just a stepping stone. Like the streets is undefeated. So if you think that you're gonna outlast the streets, or you got some type of special sauce, or you just think you're smarter than the feds and the police and all that, you're in for a rude awakening. So that's the first thing. It's like no, understand this is a stepping stone, but understand this is a learning opportunity to actually turn your hustle into an actual legal business. So you need to have a vision and have a plan, because if not, you're going to be like that 40, 50-year-old dude that's still selling weed, out his mom's house. You know what I mean? If you don't have a vision, you don't have, any type of awareness to what's going on in this world. You know what I mean?
No
You gotta
facts.
understand there's a lot, and then like what I said, you gotta understand there's a lot of ways that you could still be involved in this industry without having to sell weed at all. Like some of the most valuable cannabis companies don't sell weed. They're software companies like Dutchy, Trees, Blaze. Like these are, if you look them up, these are multi-million dollar, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue and they do not sell weed. They just offer software to large corporations. So that goes all to say, it's like, just have a plan, stack your capital, be patient, and you just have to understand that this is just a stepping stone, but it's a learning opportunity because you never know when your opportunity may come. You never know if your state all of a sudden, hey, we're gonna, the bill passes or something. Now we legalize weed, and then now we're rolling out a social equity program.
And that's
Now
to me, that's
you can,
the
yeah,
goal.
yeah, that's the goal. Now you understand the game. You have a lot of people who are first like being exposed to the cannabis industry, so you kind of already have an understanding about the game. You understand, like, finances, profit margin, inventory, how to acquire customers, customer service, being on time, being professional. You understand these core principles of business, but then you stay patient. You waited for your opportunity. Now it's time to strike. Now it's time to put your plan of action into execution. So that's, what I would suggest. It's like, man, you got to stay down, wait for your opportunity. And when your opportunity comes, you can't miss, man.
Right. Be ready to
May
hit
only
that
get
mug.
one shot.
Facts,
It may
man.
only be licenses open for a certain set of time. So you need to have all your paperwork, all your documentation in line so that you can submit it and boom, hey, you've been awarded a dispensary.
Right. You
You've
one
been
of those
awarded a
people.
delivery license. So, but then now it starts. Nothing, when you get the license, that's just the start. You didn't do anything.
Right.
Now it's about generating revenue and generating profit and acquiring customers and rolling out a business plan. So just notice this is it's a long process. It's a long game, man. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. But if you stay down, wait for your opportunity and strike, you're gonna be ahead of a lot of people.
Right. So I know we kind of talked about this already. You done kind of hit on it. In 2025 is the goal of owning the dispensary. Is that with the prices and with the competition and with all the stuff we talked about, it being other parts of the industry that you could work in, is that even a viable option for a young guy with aspirations?
I think you have to understand what your skill set is. So if you're not a person that likes to be super hands-on, you don't like to be you know, if you're a person that doesn't have great management skills, probably owning a dispensary is not the best thing for you. You have to you have to figure out like what you're good at, and also identify your weaknesses, and then like what I said, tailor a business around that and figure out a sector within the industry that best fits your strengths and weaknesses. So like what I said, there's other things that you can do than within the cannabis industry rather than just owning a dispensary. So a dispensary can work for some people, but it has to be the right person. You have to have the right skill sets. If you don't like, microman, making sure that people are showing up to work, meeting with vendors, making sure that your store looks a certain way, things like that, then a dispensary may not be the best option for you. If you just like, interacting with the businesses, you don't really have to focus on how your warehouse looks. You just like, just transacting with businesses, wholesaling, things like that, then look into a distribution company. If you are good at branding, if you're good at graphic design, if you're good at building a following, building a community, then maybe starting your own cannabis brand may be a viable option. So it's not a one size fits all. It's figuring out what you're good at and tailoring a business around that.